tell me, give me a good answer. What does accountability mean to you? You are, if I asked you, are you accountable, and you said yes, what would that mean?
You can rely on them.
You can be relied upon, okay?
Trustworthy.
Trustworthy, Dave?
You keep your word.
You keep your word. What do you think? You are responsible for your actions, or 100% effort. Anyone else? Anyone else? All right. If you are accountable, okay, if you are accountable, you are responsible. This came out of the dictionary. You are responsible and you are answerable. That means you can answer, you are prepared to answer for your actions. Positive or negative. Okay? Positive or negative. Real quick. Who do you think, as a member of the Cougar Pride program, who are you accountable to? Raise your hand. Raise your hand. Who are you accountable to?
Each other.
You are accountable to each other. Who else are you accountable to?
Coaches.
The coaches. Who else?
Teachers.
The teachers. That's part of Cougar Pride. It's not just between the lines, guys. Hold on. Yourself. Very good, because we're really emphasizing pushing you, right? Yes.
Community.
Your community. All of those are absolute. Yes, Dave. Your team, that's each other, right? Those are all absolutely correct. We are accountable, answerable. We need to be responsible to each other. All right? If you've heard of Gandhi before, and if you haven't, you will learn about him in world history. He is probably the most famous nonviolent protester for change in the history of the world. Read what he said. He is one of the most respected people in the history of the world. It is wrong and immoral to seek to escape the consequences of one's acts. Right? Making what? You do something and you make a what? Excuse. Very good. Y'all are tuned in. Y'all are tuned in to what I'm trying to tell you. Okay? All right. We remember this about 2 weeks ago, do we not? If you watch college basketball, what's that guy's name? Who knows? Nobody knows who that is? Anybody ever heard of Marcus Smart?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. All right. Here's what happened to Marcus Smart. All right. Marcus Smart was playing in a very hostile arena, Texas Tech University. They are famous for not being very nice to the opposing players. Right? And Marcus Smart went in for a layup, and he was knocked to the floor. And one of their adult fans said something, we're not really sure what happened, it doesn't matter, said something not very nice to Marcus Smart. Anybody remember what he did? He pushed him. Okay? He pushed him. Does anybody remember what the consequences for Marcus Smart? He was suspended 3 games. Does anybody know what his team did in those 3 games he was suspended? They lost all 3 of them. Okay? Now, Marcus Smart may have been said something very nasty to, and he probably was by a very immature adult. All right? However, by taking the action that he did, he cost his teammates. Now, he could have very easily the next day went public and said, look what this guy said to me. I had every right to push it. He can't talk to me that way. But this is part of a quote from his press conference. Okay? This is what this young man who's a freshman in college, this is what he said. I take full responsibility. I really do apologize for it. I take full responsibility and the consequences that come with it. This was before he knew that his team was going to lose 3 games without him, and they did. Okay? He cost his teammates by being emotional. Now, every one of us in here, if we have something said to us, we could very possibly feel like reacting like Marcus Smart did. But we can't. Okay? All right. Accountability. See it. Own it. Solve it. Do it. All right? It's your personal choice to be exceptional. Right? You make that choice. Look here. Look at this. Not only what we do, but what we don't do. If you see something that is not right, it doesn't fit in with Cougar Pride and the things that we emphasize, and you ignore it, you're not being accountable. You are not being accountable to all the people that you guys mentioned. You're not doing it because you have walked away from it. It is your job to fix it. Okay? Accept responsibility for your actions. Be accountable for your results. Take ownership of your mistakes. That's what Marcus Smart did. Very last thing I'm going to leave you with. You should recognize this guy right here. RG3. He was thrust into a very difficult position as a leader of an leader of an NFL football team that wasn't very good as a rookie. And he took a lot of heat from the press. Okay? And this is a quote from Robert Griffin III that I want you all to think about. Okay? And this is what a leader does. When we win, it's about we. We won. Here's what a leader does, and he is accountable. When we lose, it's about me. Okay? Those of you that played freshman football this last year, you've heard me say 100 times, don't point your finger, point your thumb. All right? It's about you. Okay? All right. And basketball. All right?
Good job. Hey, give 3. 1, 2, 3. Excellent. All right, this is where we're going. Let me through. Where would you be going today? Flyos. Good. Highlight reel. Oh, that's going up. Sorry about. Also, she didn't put it in there. So that. Okay. So Trojan, where would you go? Okay. So I don't have.
Hey, before I even start, let me say a couple things. First of all, I looked through all the coaches' deals today, or last night, excuse me, and there's some good stuff. No BS listening. Understand, absorb what's being told to you, because there's some really good stuff being told to you. And the standard that we're setting right now, it's got to be consistent. It's not do it hard for 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, and then relax. No, that's a new standard. Be consistent with it from this point on. Make sense?
Yes, sir.
All right, now start my clock. All right, here we go. Next slide, please.
Yes, sir.
All right, here we go. Consistency is critical in triggering something important in your life. If you cannot be consistent in doing important things, you cannot be successful. Now, I'm going to tell you real quick about my son. There's 3 things he loves besides God, family. Okay? He loves football, he loves baseball, and he loves TJ. Where you at? He loves Xbox. He loves it. And it runs his life. Those 3 things run his life. It's consistent to him. Any spirit, he doesn't get to play it on the week, but on the weekend, he got time, he's devoted to it. Just like football and baseball, he's devoted to it. He's consistent. He will be successful because that is important to him. Just like it says, okay, you cannot be consistent in doing important things, you cannot be successful. Okay? Next slide. Okay, I should have changed this. I thought about this today when I was looking at it. Ignore this right here. What is consistent in your life? There should be a big question mark right there. What is consistent in your life? Ask yourself that. Okay? Then the next line. Whatever it is, that is your life. Do you understand what I'm saying? Yes, what is consistent in your life? Are you consistently on time? Are you consistently giving 100%? Are you consistently doing the right thing? Because if you are, that's your life. Negative, if you aren't, that's your life. You see what I'm saying? Yes, that's a bold statement right there. That's a very bold statement. Next. Okay, I like to look at successful people. This gentleman's pretty successful, I'd have to say. Okay? I read some stuff on him, and the number one thing he said, I'll go right down here, he strived for consistency, allowed him to do more. He said, my number one goal coming into this season was to be consistent. It worked for him, did it? It worked for him. Okay? That kind of approach to the game, to practice, just to every day. So I think it's been good so far. He took the things that he could control, and he focused on those. The things he couldn't control, he let them go. He let them go. And that consistency allowed him to be successful. Next slide. Okay, how difficult is it to maintain the quest for consistency when surrounded by so many inconsistencies? Okay? This is what he said. Because of all the outside stuff, you can't control all that. Okay? Again, things like injuries. You can sit there and think about it, waste energy on it. It's not going to do any good. The weather, you can't change it. It's not going to do any good. Focus on what you can control. At the end of the day, you can only control what you can control. And this is what he said. This is what he controlled. His note-taking, he controlled that. Okay? His film study, he controlled that. He was consistent with it. Okay? Meetings, he didn't go into a meeting half asleep. He didn't go in thinking about what's going on up in the building. Guys, this is an oasis. I'm not trying to get sidetracked, but this is an oasis. When you come out here, all of that stuff happening up there, good or bad, it's gone. You come out here to the oasis. This is where everything's good. This is your happy place. All right? That's where he took his meetings, he focused everything on it, and he was consistent with it. Because he knew what he had to do. Preparation, okay? He knew what he was going to do, and attitude. I've heard Cook say this a million times. That's something you can control every single day. And he did. Nothing else bothered him. He controlled it. Okay, I put a couple of these on here because I really liked it. Emmett Smith, pretty successful himself. Consistency is one of the hallmarks of my career. You knew what you were going to get out of Emmett Smith every game, every year, no matter if he's 22, 21, 35 years old. Doesn't matter. You guys, the coaches knew, the fans knew, everybody knew what they were going to get from him. Everybody. There was no doubt. They knew what they were going to get from him. That's consistency. Okay? And I like this one. Success isn't always about greatness. Okay? It's about consistency. Being consistent. Okay? Consistent hard work gains success. Greatness will come. Okay? Next slide. Next slide. Okay, this one. I want to throw this up here because I heard this in church and it really struck home to me. Okay? I don't know if you guys know anything about track with 4-minute mile. For thousands of years, they tried to break the 4-minute mile. Okay? Tried to break it. Couldn't get it, couldn't get it, couldn't get it. They did things like literally took bulls and ran bulls behind people trying to increase their speed. They did everything they could. It couldn't get it. In the 1940s, they got it all the way down to 4 minutes, 1 second. And that's when they said, it can't be done. Can't be done. Physically, the body can't run a 4-minute mile. Okay? Roger Bannister started training. He started training in the 30s, 40s, and he told himself, he ignored all that. He told himself, he saw it in his head. He knew what he could do. He knew he could do it. He was consistent with his training. He didn't let anything else come into that thought process. He was consistent. He trained, he trained, he trained, and he broke that barrier. He was the first person to run the 4-minute mile. Guess what happened after that? Guess what happened? When he broke that, less than a year later, wow, bam, it also got broken again. Less than 5 years later, about 4 or 5 more people broke it. You see what happened? The mind held people back. He didn't let it. He was consistent with his training, with his thoughts. He was successful. Okay? And now, it's common. It's real common to run a sub 4-minute mile. Alright, you see the point I'm making here? Seeing is believing. He saw it up here. Even though he didn't see it on the paper, he didn't see it on track, he saw it in his mind. And this is a great statement. Consistency equals confidence. If you're consistent with your training, with your thoughts, with everything, then you will be confident. And when you're confident, then you will be consistent. There's no hesitations. Does that make sense to you guys?
Sure.
That is so true right there. Okay, last one. Okay, last thing I'm going to say. Last thing I'm going to say. Trust is built with consistency. Consistent actions create consistent results. Can we trust you? Can we trust you? Can we trust you? Okay? Are you going to be consistent that we can trust you? Because trust is built with consistency. Does that make sense?
Yes,
sir.
That's where we need to be. Okay, go.
Good. Haven't heard that before, huh? Yeah, you have a bunch. So I heard about the 4-minute mile, you heard about consistency, you heard about the fact that if you're training on a daily basis, what you do on a daily basis, especially when you do it right, builds confidence and it makes it easier for confidence to be the choice you choose. Got it? Good. Couple of things.